Meeting come to order for City Council meeting at January the 28th, 2014 at 6 p.m. Regular meeting, successor agency, RDA, and Public Housing Authority meeting. Would you please stand up for a flag salute? We are having the YAL lead us into the flag salute.
Could you place your right hand over your heart? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow our heads for a word of invocation. Blessed Father, we do humbly come before you tonight, thanking you once again for all the blessings you give to us on a daily basis. We thank you for all these young people here tonight. We thank you for the soccer team from Cerritos College. Father, we just see these young people that are going into the future with bright futures ahead of them and as role models for the younger children coming up, and we thank you for that. We thank you that we're able to honor these sports people that are just, it's a blessing to us to really know that we care about these people and that you give us that love of everybody. Father, be with the council tonight. Just keep your arms around them. They lead busy lives and they take time to really care about this community, or they wouldn't run for the city council positions. And we thank you, Father, that you've always given us the people who are supposed to be here. Your word tells us that you pick the people in places of high authority, and we thank you for that. Just be with everybody here tonight, Father. Be with their families, and just a special blessing on any of them that have any illnesses or sicknesses in their family tonight, Father. Just be very close to them. And we thank you once again in thy very precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Roll call.
Director Bach?
Here.
Director Mahar?
Here.
Councilmember Director Rios?
Here.
Councilmember Director Gomez?
Here.
Councilmember Director Farfan?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chairmember Bruce?
Here.
Mayor Chairmember Rodriguez?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Presentations and proclamations. We have 3. Shall we all go down? Yes, is Mr. Ray Rodriguez here? Here you go. Will you please come up to the stand? He's presenting.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Rodriguez and City Council. My name is Ray Rodriguez, and I'm from California Community Services. It's a nonprofit organization. We just recently had a seminar here in Hawaiian Gardens that Mr. Gomez and Mr. Rodriguez had helped us initiate the program. This program is specifically designed to help the residents of Hawaiian Gardens from any type of loan fraud. Right now, the City of Hawaiian Gardens has targeted the residents for loan modifications, loan fraud. They're paying $3,500, $7,500 up front. We go after the people who charge for loan modifications and try to get the money returned to the residents of Hawaiian Gardens. We've been very successful with it. We just recently, in the last 2 weeks, we stopped a foreclosure on a home. We stopped the sale of a home, and that person got a loan modification, and that person's now paying about $1,100 instead of $2,200 a month. That's just the beginning of the program, because that program involves any type of mediation services when it comes to divorces, child support, immigration, So we provide all these services, and California Community Services, as I said earlier, is a nonprofit organization, and we take all the liability. Our people that are on our team, the lawyers, the immigration people, the tax people, we take all the responsibility to make sure that these people are working with trustworthy people. Today, we want to honor one of your employees of the district. She worked with us for a couple of years. She's heartless. I mean, she just, I can't say enough about her. It's Sylvia Gooden, and I believe she's here today. Can she step up? Okay. Ronaldo was attended our seminar. He got a chance to see exactly what we did. But getting back to Sylvia, she worked with us almost on a daily basis for the last 2 years in putting this particular program together. The biggest part that we had to, the things that we accomplished is to make sure that the people that we work with are trustworthy people. Okay? And that's the name of our organization, California Community Services, and we look every day to make sure that that name is always looked at as a trustworthy organization. Sylvia? Our president, Aida Torres, will make the presentation of this particular award for her outstanding services to California Community Services and also to the City of Hawaiian Gardens residents.
Good evening, everyone. We're here to honor her hard work, dedication, and all the support that she has given us, and help the community. Thank you very much for all your hard work. You're welcome. Thank you so much.
If you don't mind, can you translate that in Spanish?
Claro que sí. Buenas noches a todos. Estamos aquí para darle reconocimiento a la señora Sylvia Gooden por todo su trabajo, su apoyo y la ayuda que ella brinda a la comunidad y que ha brindado a nuestra organización. Gracias, Silvia.
And once again, we thank the City Council, the Mayor, and also Councilman Gomez for their assistance in this particular program, and look forward to continue helping the community with Sylvia. And we're going to have a lot of success, and we've already had a lot of success in saving homes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray, and thank you, Sylvia. I can attest to her work because I have gone to her office and I see many people in there asking for help, and she knows where to send them, what agency to send them. I want to thank her very much. So next we want to honor and presentation of certificates to the achievement of the Cerritos College Falcons women's soccer team for winning the national championship. Gustavo, the coach. Where's he at?
Okay, one of my assistant coaches, Octavio Marquez. Yes, Beth Tenorio. Brianna Reyes. Cassie Reyes. Brittany Padilla. Jasmine Cornejo. Liliana Hernandez. Cristo Yantucci. Demi Tavares. Liana Ferran. Jennifer Torres. Claudia Lopez. Krista Velasco. Demi Lomeli. Nayeli Requejo. Clara Gomez. Selena Montaño. Cassie Olivas. Adriana Salazar. Alexis Carrillo. Malia Tilton. And Caro Ornelas. I want to congratulate these young ladies for all of the hard work that they do on and off the field. We have 10 sophomores, and 9 of them will be transferring after the summer semester, and then the next one will have another semester left. 6 of them are going on soccer scholarships. I want to thank the mayor and the city council for giving us the opportunity to come up here and be part of this. It's a great honor for us to be here. Thank you.
Congratulations, and hope you have a bright future. And thanks to our coaches here, that you will succeed in life. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Who's missing? Yeah. No, go ahead. All right, look this way. One more.
I'd like to call two ladies up here once again. They're here from Artesia High School, and they're also two Hawaiian Gardens residents, Caro Ornelas and Jasmine Conejo.
Okay, next we're going to have a presentation by the ABC School District regarding the Head Start program. Thank you.
I want to thank Mayor Rodriguez and Mayor Pro Tem Bruce and the board members for letting us be here today to speak. My name is Kathy Myers, and I am the acting director and the administrative coordinator of child development. And we're here to just tell you a little bit about the Head Start program, and we're back. And this is my teacher, Isabel Delgadillo, and it has affected her classroom quite a bit. So I have a short little presentation. Just so you know, the Head Start program is we have LA Up, which is Los Angeles Universal Preschool, state preschool programs. We have the Artesia Children's Center, which is also a state program all day, and the Tracy Infant Center. These are the Head Start sites, and the ones that are affected mostly were Aloha and Melbourne and Willow. with the closure of the Head Start programs that we had. Just so you know a little bit about what we do, the children have a regular curriculum that's aligned with the district's program. We have to do assessments just like the elementary school. The teachers have lots and lots and lots to do with the assessments with the children. We have interventions, response to intervention with the children, a program called Sprouts, which is after the children after school, so the teachers give their hours to help with that. We have shared decision making with our policy council and lots of parent workshops and staff trainings, and the teachers are very qualified. We have 7 of our 10 Head Start teachers have their bachelor's degree, and the other 3 have their AA degree and working on their bachelor's. All of them have a Children's Center permit that is at either master teacher or higher, which is very, very good. And then we have wonderful district collaborations. One, of course, is the Board of Education, the Special Ed Department, the Nutrition Services, many of our community partnerships. Our big one has been Hawaiian Gardens to help us through this process. Mr. Gomez and his wife, Rosie, helped when I was crazy when we heard about us not having Hawaiian Guards as part of our service area. And then, of course, we have the Southeast Collaborative meetings in Hawaiian Gardens. This was the area affected. This is the census tracts that were affected by the Hawaiian Gardens taken away from the Head Start program. And like I said, many of them had to do with Isabel's school site, which is Melbourne. It was very much affected. We had parents that lived right across the street that could not attend our schools, and it was just amazing to us so that this happened. So we worked very hard. Mr. Gomez and Mrs. Gomez helped write letters to the state of California, and I wrote numerous letters. We called everyone. I think it's Mike's letter that got us there. So just a little bit of background. Apparently in 1987, Orange County came in to the area, and I don't know exactly, but apparently they were asked to be that particular site's, the Hawaiian Gardens, Head Start, and MAOF's grantee, which means that all of their jurisdiction, all of the regulations came from Orange County. We are under Los Angeles County. So we had an understanding with them at that time, back then, that we would just sort of share the kids. And then in 2000, in the early, I think like late 90s, there was where Hawaiian Gardens Head Start says, you're taking some of our kids too. So we said that they could have the south end of the district, which would be the Hawaiian Gardens, Ferguson, all of that. And we would take the north end to make peace. And then they had trouble with enrollment. So then they went to LA County and asked it to be taken away. So, okay, they took it away from us. And then we weren't, I guess, in 2009, Orange County, it was actually taken away, but we were never told by our LACO. Then in September of 2012, a year ago this September, we were told that we were no longer assigned. And this is when our concerns came out to everyone, and we got everybody, Dr. Mary Sue and Mike McQuain, my boss, and everybody working on it. And then we started trying to be sure everyone was informed, and the teachers were informed, and we were worried that we would have to have a staff cut. And then for the 2012-13 school year, we had to no longer enroll our Hawaiian Gardens families. And then, so it was terrible because we had these children on the wait list. Hawaiian Gardens Head Start closed, and these kids couldn't be serviced. So that's when we really tried very hard. So in the beginning of July, the some staff was reduced and Orange County closed. And then in December of this past December, they said, oh, we can have it back. So we were so excited. We got it back. And we are now able to enroll Hawaiian Gardens children back into our Head Start programs. Unfortunately for the Hawaiian Gardens Head Start, they've closed. So those families that live in that little corner area over there either have to go to our state preschool programs, which they don't get the same services that Head Start provides. And a lot of them, of course, don't have transportation. They've got to walk. So we're eventually hoping that we in the ABC School District can possibly get that facility for ABC Head Start children, and then they'll be able to go to their own, right there to their schools. Other than that, at least they'll be able to go back to Melbourne, and they will also, be able to go back to Willow. But Melbourne was the one affected most of all because, like I said, right across the street, some of those families belong. Isabel brought with us some flyers, and I just want to put the word out there that Head Start is back with Hawaiian Gardens, and we're very, very thankful for that. Do you have any questions? No?
I'm glad to see you guys are back, and great job, Mike. I think that's fantastic, and I look forward to seeing you back at that building over on Lee Ware, too.
Me too. We'll work on it. Thank you. That'll be our next time we'll be here. Thank you very much for having us.
I have a comment. One of the reasons we work so hard with you on this, my wife is a retired Head Start teacher, so we understand the benefits to the community to have that program in force. In fact, one of the things that the Head Start program does, but unfortunately you mentioned the state preschool doesn't have all the resources, is they also have that component where you talked about for training for the parents as well. I know a lot of my wife's former parents of students got jobs within the school district through that training that they went to.
That's right.
And like one family I can think of in particular, the mother, she was our Head Start mother, and I guess president of that. I guess you have a Head Start class. I forget. I don't know the term you have, but
Each classroom has their own. They have their own classroom members, and then we have the policy council that they're part of as well.
Correct. So that's a great learning ability for them, a great training center for them to really get some self-confidence and feeling that they can achieve things as well. And this family, speaking of in particular, the mother now is working at the school district office, and her daughter is a teacher at who was the former student, is a teacher at Melbourne Elementary. So there's successes for not just the children, for the whole family. That's a
we
great
have
thing.
so many wonderful success stories like that. We have several Head Start families that are now working for us,
Right.
or they started out as a parent and now they're working for us,
Yeah.
or students that
Well,
have
that's
come
great.
up.
I want to thank you for coming here and pass that information. Hopefully, Isabel, maybe you can say a little something in Spanish so that the people who see just for the family members who watch on our cable, just to let them know that Head Start they're able to again enroll in Head Start here at the ABC School District.
Que lo que vamos a hacer, ya pueden llamar a poner una lista para el septiembre. Vamos a también tener un día donde vamos a ir a caminar en las calles y en dejando boletines en las casas. Y si quieren, si alguien tiene preguntas, pueden llamar el número. Y estamos muy contentos en que ya estamos aceptando niños de Hawaiian Gardens. Como dijo Miss Myers, que a mí me afectó mucho porque yo tenía niños que tuvieron sus hermanitos en el programa, y ya después cuando la mamá quería inscribir los otros hermanitos ya no podíamos aceptarlos, y yo sé que ellos querían mandar sus otros hijos o hijas. Pero ahora ya que vamos a aceptarlos, estoy muy contenta porque queremos ayudar a nuestros niños de nuestra ciudad. Yo soy residente de aquí y a mí me da mucho gusto a apoyar a los niños de esta ciudad y ayudarles para que ellos puedan ser educados en nuestro distrito y apoyarlos durante sus años de estudios.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to add that she's my sister, one of 13. I'm the oldest, so she has experience with kids, and so thank you. We shall now proceed to oral communications. This is the time reserved for members of the public wishing to speak on items and not on the agenda, except for public hearing items. This period will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Upon conclusion of oral communications, the City Council or City staff, at the direction of the Mayor, may respond to any questions or statements that were presented by members of the public. The City Council is prohibited by law from discussing or taking any action on items presented during oral communications. They are not on the agenda. So oral communications is now open.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Nidia Mateos, vivo en la 215 Street, en esta hermosa y bendecida ciudad de Hawaiian Gardens. Y yo quiero decir que yo también soy un fruto del Head Start. Ahí fue donde ellos me educaron, me entrenaron para ser una líder, como nos entrenan a todos los papás. Ahí me enseñaron todo lo que se refiere a cómo dirigirse en las reuniones públicas. Y gracias a su enseñanza es que me gustó y seguí y seguiré aprendiendo cada día más para poder ayudar a otros papás, y les doy gracias por volver a traer el programa, porque sí lo necesitaban mucho nuestros residentes, y gracias por enseñarnos y educarnos a ser unos líderes en nuestra comunidad y en nuestras escuelas. Muchas gracias al Head Start Program.
Hello, my name is Karen Kavanaugh. I'm here from the Hawaiian Gardens Public Library. Oh, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Her name is Nidia Mateo. She lives on 215th Street in the beautiful and blessed city of Hawaiian Gardens. She is also participated in the Head Start program, and as a result of the education and training to be a leader here in our community, through the training that she received, she learned how to address community leaders in a public meeting, and she enjoyed doing it, and she continues to do that. She has also been able, through the training that they provided, to help other parents, and she thinks it's very important that that continues, that they reach out to parents and help. She wants to thank the council for bringing Head Start back, because we need it, the parents need it. She wanted to thank them for their training, specifically for being leaders in our community, which she's a product of, and for the training that they've provided so that they could be leaders in the schools and in the community. So thanks to Head Start.
Sorry, Lucy. My only excuse is that Tuesdays are my Mondays, so got Monday brain. I am here from the Hawaiian Gardens Public Library, and I'm here to announce some of our upcoming programs. First off, tomorrow evening, Wednesday, January 29th, from 6:30 to 7:30, we'll be having our pajama story time. So all families are welcome to come in their pajamas. We're going to be doing some fun bedtime stories and a fun art activity afterwards. On Wednesday, February 5th, from 4 to 5:30 p.m., we'll be having a teen program, Minecraft Craftiness. We'll be doing some art projects based off of the popular game Minecraft. On Tuesday, February 11th, from 11:30 to 12:15, we'll be having our next toddler story time. This is for parents with kids ages 1 to 3. We have a very brief and active story time, and then time for the kids and parents to do some art together and have a good playtime at the library. And then we'll be having our next program for adults on Wednesday, February 12th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. It's going to be Return of Book Speed Dating, which is basically where you get to know different books and authors in 3 speed rounds, and then you get to pick a book to take home with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Sid Musabi. I'm representing infrastructure engineers tonight here. And I'm here to talk about consent calendar item C1. And I wanted to bring a couple of items to your attention as you make decision on this item tonight. As you know, different funding sources are used for street improvement projects, and each funding source has different requirement to manage the project, to do the design as well as construction. This project is being funded by Measure R, and Measure R has certain requirements as the engineers are designing and pursuing it into construction. When we received the RFP for this project, there were 2 requirements within the RFP that we know Measure R does not require. We do this type of project for many cities in Southern California. In fact, in the last 20 years that we've been in business, we've done over hundreds of street improvement projects within Southern California. One of them was labor compliance. The other one was material testing. We had to place a price for these 2 items in our proposal because it was required in the RFP. However, we know that if we do not provide these services during the construction, this project will go through the design and completion, and it will pass the audit completely with no problem at all. Our fee for these 2 services was $5,300. The other item that I wanted to bring to your attention is the construction time for the project. Construction time for the project was left open, so we had to use our judgment, best judgment is how many days we need to assign for construction of the project so that it would be easy for the contractors to bid on it and they wouldn't be jacking up their prices, and as well as being convenient for the residents within the area. So we selected 25 days construction days. That 25 days impacts the price that we had to place for the construction management and inspection. If we had selected 18 days, of course the contractor would have been able to do the project. However, they had to rush through the projects, and of course they had to jack their prices. Ultimately, the community would be paying higher prices for it. If we had reduced our construction days to 18 days, our price would have been reduced by almost $6,400. So combining these 2 elements, our price would have been reduced by over $11,000, and our total bid would have been $35,570. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention that our price in comparison to the rest of the consultants, there are 7 of them, is number 3, but based on the fact that there were some open items to estimate some prices for those, the prices can fluctuate depending on what is it that the consultants are providing for the community. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention as you make decisions so you know how these bids are provided. If there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Okay, the 3 minutes are up. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Clifton Aska, and I'm here representing the mathematics department at Tracy High School. Students don't learn, teachers aren't teaching, it's a bad school. That's a popular opinion that we get at Tracy. Those are opinions that we deal with all the time, and that's the opinion of the people who have not been to our school. At Tracy High School, just like any other comprehensive high school, we offer Algebra 1 and higher. With the rollout of the new Common Core standards come math practices to help students better prepare for the SBAC, which is a new state test that's replacing our current STAR testing. Our vision at Tracy High School is to implement a one-on-one iPad program. Our goal is to have this fully funded by the end of the summer to have fully ready to implementation by fall of 2014. What this means is we are trying to create one of the most innovative math programs found in the ABC Unified School District. Our current enrollment at Tracy High School is about 330 students, with 33% of those students residing here in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. We are here today to seek financial support. The funds we need are approximately $60,000. Our district and school have pledged funds to help us with this cause. A majority of the money, though, however, that we're getting from the district has to go to upgrade our computer lab, which has computers in there that are over 10 years old. And we need those newer computers to be able to take the new Smarter Balance assessment. School's First Credit Union has already donated a check of $1,000 to help towards our cause of starting this one-on-one iPad program in all our math department. Any donations that you'd be willing to give will go straight into the classroom. Donors Choose is another way we have been seeking support. Donors Choose is a website where we ask local members of the community and out there to help with our cause. If many organizations and cities like yourself would donate to this cause, we'll be able to get this started as soon as possible. I'm going to provide you guys all with a letter that on it has a QR code, which looks like this. It gives even a better account of what we're doing at our math department at Tracy. It's about a 6-minute video, and I would appreciate it if you took the time out of your busy schedules just to review it for me. I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, we'll close the, one more.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Rodriguez. I have a couple handouts. Maybe, I think there's 7, but it might be. Thanks. And if I could provide the extra one for a short one. There's supposed to be 7 of them. But I'm here for one. You know, my name's Jesus Mendoza. I live here in the city. My address is 22022 Stain Avenue. I first wanted to, obviously to give you guys the handouts that Lucy was kindly enough to hand them out. There's 2 different attachments on there. One of them, which I will try to explain, our common goal here in the city and our logo, it's always been our youth, our future. And I put 2 very important pages of our current contract here with the city, obviously from our MOU, which is through AFSCME. And on those 2 pages, I only want to refer to the bottom of page 6, which is P, and also goes to the top of page 7. Please read and review when you guys have a chance on this very important section for our members. This means a lot. It's not something that is being attacked, or it's not something that's being touched at this point. But for us, that is our youth. That is our future. Several years when I first started here, I want to say like 25 years ago, we didn't have nothing like this. And that has helped our department in general, probably the most, because it's the one that I know the most, be able to reach the goals that they wanted to reach, be able to get those degrees that they need to get. The city has been very generous to keep this and to help our staff and our employees to be able to benefit. But all I ask is for you guys to review it. Obviously, there's names on there. All those individuals, obviously, they know. I didn't come just on their behalf. I came on behalf of our union contract, what we have on there. And please look and see if it's beneficial to our city, and if they have the degrees in certain sections that we could use as, You know, we have several employees that are already finishing, whether in business or even I seen how long you guys took on the logo. There's a guy that has a degree on that, so it'll be very beneficial. And I think that if we're investing on them, then we should ask for something in return. And I think that is something that we could work through both our city manager and also the union. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, we'll close the oral communications. So now we're open for discussion here from the board. Would anybody like to make any comments?
Oh, I'd like to make a comment to Clifton from Tracy High School. Your first disparaging comments about the school or what people think of the school would be a misnomer, because I know the school does a lot of good things, and my wife was a teacher there for quite a while. So it's a good school. You're doing good work over there, and we appreciate you coming this evening and bringing your request. All the other schools have requested, so it's good to have you request for something that is educational, and it's a big ask. But I would kind of like to know, though, how much the school has raised for that project, if you've raised anything. Is there a formal? Did they fill out a formal request? Okay, so that's in there.
The council for this year adopted, they made some amendments to the policy, and we're more than happy to meet with potential applicants to review the new amendments to the policy this year.
Well, thank you for coming tonight, and we'll look at that.
I have an additional question in regards to that. I know it's been the governor's intent to provide additional funding to schools that deal with more difficult populations, i.e. Tracy, who is a continuation school. I would be interested in knowing how much the district is providing to ensure that those students are receiving an iPad per student. I mean, that's a district banner, and get that response to them. And of course, many of our residents are Tracy students, and I appreciate all the work that they do at that school.
Any more comments?
Yeah, I also appreciate you, Jesus, bringing the education levels of employees to us. I think that's very interesting. All of these people that have gotten these degrees, recipients of monies from the city?
Yes.
I'm sorry, my hearing is clogged up. I have this darn flu.
Yeah, from just briefly glancing at the list, I would say yes, the majority probably have.
Thank you.
Any more comments? So we'll now close oral communications, and we'll proceed with, I guess we're going to go to the Housing Authority at this moment, at this point. Agenda organization. This is the time for the authority board to discuss any changes in the order of the agenda items. Does anybody like to change? I guess no. Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to item A, public hearings. None. Consent calendar. Items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussions of these items. If discussion is desired, that it may be removed from the consent calendar, and it will be considered separately. Do you have any items that you would like to remove from the consent calendar?
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Second.
Motion carries. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Adopt resolution number, next item, item B2, adopt resolution number C. Oh, okay, we get. Okay, do we have any discussion items? New business? No closed session? Oral staff reports? Oral board reports? So we shall adjourn until our next regular meeting to be held Tuesday, February the 25th, 2014 at 6 p.m. So now we'll go to our regular city council meeting. Item B, ordinances. Adopt urgency ordinance number 552U to impose a moratorium on the approval and establishment of any smoke shops, electronic cigarette retailer, or drug paraphernalia retailer pursuant to California Government Code Section 6585. Staff report, 5-8.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, basically this is a moratorium that's being requested by the City Council. It's a 45-day moratorium on any smoke shop or the sale of any e-cigarettes or drug paraphernalia, and smoke shops as well. It does not affect any existing establishments. As you know, we have a few of them in town. This would be just applicable to any new establishments. And to the extent that it would affect new establishments, we're talking about establishments that would devote more than 20% of the floor area to such uses. The purpose of the 45-day moratorium would basically to give us an opportunity to study existing ordinances or regulations and zoning standards, and also to look at the potential of adopting any new regulations. If we're not able to complete any studies within that 45-day period, we may come back and ask for an additional 10-month, 15-day extension. And you can also then ask for an additional one-year extension. So it's about a 2-year extension, and those would require public hearing, though. For this urgency measure to be effective, though, you do need 4/5 vote. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Do we have a discussion?
Yeah, I think that this is something that obviously we've been concerned about and has been brought up multiple times about what can we do about the situation with these things popping up. And as it says in the report, really, there's no evidence at this point that these smoke shops or these e-cigarettes are helpful or harmful. We don't know yet, and so their state, I know, is still doing studies and trying to figure this out. And they are doing, as I think Joe mentioned, moratoriums in other communities just for those reasons. So they just don't know the effect of how it will be on the community. So I'm in favor of the moratorium.
Just recently, there was an explosion in some apartment where they were extracting oil from the marijuana plant, and these e-cigarettes, that's what they use. Everything they smoke comes from some type of oil, whether it's chemical or marijuana plant or other drugs that haven't been outlawed yet. So then finally the people are beginning to realize that these e-cigarettes are really quite a problem, because many schools also find kids that carry their e-cigarettes in their backpacks and so on. So what under the law, I mean, can we enforce this ordinance?
Yeah, what this ordinance does is that it prohibits new businesses from opening in the city, prohibits staff from issuing business licenses or any type of permit for these businesses to open. And again, only applies to new businesses or new applicants who want to come in the city and set up shop. In terms of regulations of the sale of the actual product, we already have adopted regulations, and in fact, some cities are copying us now. And we basically follow the state's initial thought. There was a bill introduced to regulate e-cigarettes the same as regular cigarettes. It's still in committee. You know, in Sacramento, you have to talk for 2 years before you actually adopt some regulations. Others go by a lot quicker. But this particular one, they're still talking about it. But this city council adopted an ordinance that actually regulates e-cigarettes the same way as cigarettes, which means that in our public parks, in the community center, and other government buildings, you cannot be smoking them, and you cannot smoke within 20 feet of the entrances either. So we already have that regulation. We also amended our regulations pertaining to smoke shops or retailers, such that when they sell these e-cigarettes, they can no longer, first of all, state law prohibits selling of the e-cigarettes to minors. Our regulations add to that, in that retailers cannot display them at a location where minors can just pick them up and grab them. They have to be behind a case. Now when you buy cigarettes, you actually have to go to a separate area in the store, and they have them locked, they have them separate, so that they can really check that you're over 18. So those regulations are already in place in the city. This moratorium, again, it's only for opening new stores that devote more than 20% of their area for the e-cigarettes or for cigarettes or for drug paraphernalia. What we're trying to figure out is if there is any additional regulations that we can actually implement to further limit, the sale of these types of products. We may end up figuring out that there really is not much more that we can do, but we do need the time to review that at this time.
And I do want to say that on behalf of people that do smoke e-cigarettes and don't use any marijuana oil or whatever in there, and it's just strictly flavor oil, and there are many, and I think most probably e-cigarettes are that type of cigarette. And a lot of people say that, it's healthier than smoking cigarettes and et cetera, but the bottom line is like Mr. Gomez said, that we really don't know. There haven't been enough studies to really even know what inhaling vapor does. So just on behalf of the city and us being proactive, I'm also in favor of this moratorium. So I would move that we accept it.
I agree. I'm also in favor, so I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote is unanimous.
Yes. An urgency ordinance of the City Council of the City of Hawaiian Gardens, County of Los Angeles, State of California, imposing a moratorium on the approval and establishment of any smoke shop, electronic cigarette retailer, or drug paraphernalia retailer pursuant to California Government Code Section 65858.
Thank you. We motioned, and it was unanimous. Approved, so motion carries. Now we're going to item B2, conduct first reading and introduce ordinance number 553 to amend subdivision F of section 9.66.030 of chapter 9.66 of title 9 of Hawaiian Gardens Municipal Code regulating massage parlors. Staff report.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, as you know, in Chapter 9, we have a section that deals with massage parlors. It's very limited regulation. One of the regulations is the hours of operation, that basically they're allowed to operate between 8:30 and 10 o'clock p.m. In meeting with the committee, we did have a meeting regarding this issue with two committee members, being Mayor Rodriguez and Mayor Pro Tem Bruce. We are recommending that the hours of operation for the massage parlors, along with other medical uses, be limited to 7 o'clock p.m. We did do a survey to find out what other medical uses in town we have, such as doctor's office, dentists, chiropractors, and uses of that nature, to find out what was their latest that they would be open. And for the most part, everybody closes before 7 o'clock. So we're recommending that all those medical uses close by 7 o'clock. So that would be the new hour if this ordinance is approved.
Do we have a discussion?
Well, I guess what we're doing is, if we approve this, it's just reducing the hours, the time that they can be open from 10 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Correct.
And I think, as Mr. Bruce just said on the smoking thing, there's a lot of people that legitimately use those e-cigarettes. A lot of people I know that legitimately use the massage parlor, but then you don't need to go to the massage parlor legitimately late at night. So I think this 7 o'clock curfew is fine with me.
Yeah, I do want to point out, that state law has preempted us in this field. There's very limited authority that we have, and one of the limitations is that we can only regulate these uses the same as we regulate chiropractors and other medical uses, and that's why we had a reference to medical uses, because we have that limitation. But because regular medical uses like chiropractors and medical doctors close before 7, we feel that this regulation and this change is authorized by state law.
I understand this is our first reading. However, have these businesses been consulted or informed of the change in their hours? Is that going to happen?
Well, it's an ordinance that, I'm sorry?
I mean, are you planning to inform
We
these
do
businesses?
plan to inform them, but this is basically a policy of the City Council. If this does get introduced, we will notify them before it gets officially adopted. So it does not become effective until you have your second reading and then 30 days thereafter. So at this point, it's just an introduction. If it is adopted, then we would notify, I believe we have about 5 or 6 of them, and they would be served with a letter basically indicating what the introduction of the new ordinance would do and what impacts to them would entail.
Another point just came to me. I'm sorry to interrupt you. They have people doing this massage work inside the casino as well, correct? So are they under the same?
This change does not apply to them because it only applies to massage not done in public. So there's an exception in the ordinance for massage done in public. A casino doesn't have little rooms where you go get a massage. The massage is actually done in public.
At the table.
At the tables, yes.
Okay.
We recently attended a conference in Sacramento, and this subject came up. Do you recollect what was said on that, on the massage parlors? They're introducing a bill now to regulate these massage parlors.
Well, there's a lot of cities that are concerned about the establishments of massage parlors because the state has pretty much made the decision for the cities that we can't really touch them, as Omar was saying. And so, you know, a city can have 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 15. As a matter of fact, Long Beach, I understood, had 60.
Huntington Beach.
Oh, it's Huntington Beach. Thank
65.
you. 3 heads are better than 1. So I mean, that's an amazing. Of course, they're a lot larger than we are, but for a small, less than a square mile city to have 6, you know, my opinion, there is enough. I mean, let's have some other establishments. But the state does not allow us to regulate how many massage parlors we can have in our city. So lots of cities all over California are upset about this fact. And so we're trying to get some things done at the state level to change that. I don't know how effective it will be, but there's a lot of cities that are up in arms about it. So I would move that we go ahead and accept this and move it.
So if there's a motion, then I'll make a second.
Do I read the? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I made the motion. He seconded.
I seconded it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. Motion carries. So, do you want me to read that, or you read?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Hawaiian Gardens, County of Los Angeles, State of California, amending subdivision F of section 9.66.030 of chapter 9.66 of Title 9 of the Hawaiian Gardens Municipal Code regulating massage parlors.
We'll now proceed to item B3. Conduct first reading and introduce ordinance number 554 to provide an amnesty program for businesses licensed taxes from March through September 2014, which forgives certain past obligations for taxpayers who register with the city and agree to pay all future business license taxes as required under the Hawaiian Gardens Municipal Code. Staff report.
Mayor and council members, we are presenting this this ordinance for you in order to deal with a problem of compliance with the business license ordinance. This is one part of a 3-part process. The first step would be to offer an amnesty to give business owners who are not paying their business license fees the opportunity to come current with their business licenses without having to pay our penalties. Our penalties are very, very heavy. It's 15% per month, and that is a reason why some of the businesses do not want to come current. So we propose this 6-month amnesty in which time there would be no penalties or interest and would give any business an opportunity to pay their fees. For the last 3 years. We can go back that far. We would follow this program by an audit and also a change to the ordinance to give businesses more time to make a report of what their gross receipts are. This amnesty would go from March through September.
I would like clarification on the audit. That's going to be before the amnesty?
No,
or
it's
what
going
is
to be after. We have not even, we just sent out the RFP. We haven't brought it before the council yet, but it would be after the amnesty period. We first have an amnesty period to give people an opportunity to pay their business license fees, and they would have 6 months without any penalties or interest.
So the audit is in terms of fines to be done for those businesses if they don't respond.
Businesses within and without this. There are a lot of businesses that are outside the city, but they still need to pay business license fees because they do business with the city. And the audit would try to discover those businesses.
So if I'm understanding that correctly, is what we're saying is that we currently don't have an idea of how many businesses are outstanding in terms of, their business licenses aren't current?
Well, we do know how many businesses aren't current, that haven't paid from the last couple of years, but we don't know how many businesses are doing business in the city that don't have a license, because we don't know that they don't have a license or that they're doing business. That's why an audit would be something we'd bring to you later. We're not going to bring it at this time, but I just wanted to point out that that would be the progression of dealing with the situation of unlicensed businesses.
Okay.
Okay, so just for clarification for me, these businesses know that they are supposed to pay, right?
If they're national businesses that have their own delivery service, say that it's a department store in another city and they deliver in this city, they have to have a business license in this city. And they may not, their corporate office may know that. They may not have gotten a business license. There are several firms that do this work that try to discover businesses.
But the business should know that they're
They
supposed to
should know. A large corporation should know.
And
but
so they
sometimes
should be paying.
Yes, they should.
And so they haven't paid for, you're saying, up to 3 years, some of them?
We can go back up to 3 years to assess penalties and interest.
Well, this came about. I had a business owner called me, and she didn't know what to do. She came to the city to pay her license fee for this year. And while she was doing that, they discovered that she didn't pay for 2 years. And she was saying that she did, but she also didn't have record. She had record of all the previous years, except for those 2 years. So, and she was saying, I can't afford to pay, I think it was over $1,000 due to the penalty fee. Well, how much was that?
It's 15%. I don't know this particular case, but the fee is pretty onerous. It's 15% per month, compounded monthly. So it is a pretty. It's more than the business license itself.
And then she was worried because they would not accept her money for this year, that she was going to also get penalized on top of that. So this is why this amnesty item came up, was to give the business owners the chance to come in and pay any license fee that they did not pay for whatever years. The other, I think we should agendize. I guess we have to agendize if we want to lower the fee, the penalty fee.
Right. I just pointed that out just so that you would know the background of it. But we do plan to come back with a change to the penalty date as well as an audit.
Well, what do other cities charge? What is their penalty fee?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have a survey of what other cities, and we're not addressing that at this time.
Well, I know that, but I mean, that's one of the big problems. So we should agendize it and address it, but we should have the staff study to find out what other cities charge and to see how proportionally out of the park ours is or how reasonable it is. But back to the issue of amnesty. Doesn't the city notify these people when they don't pay? Or do we just let 3 years go by and we don't say anything?
We do. I can respond to that. We do notify the business owners that, we send out renewal notices every year. Usually they're sent out, I believe, in October, November. And if the business license fees aren't collected, then we also send another reminder out after the first of the year. We have had some staffing challenges in finance, so I think this past year, unfortunately, we didn't have the ability to follow up with sending out additional notices. So I have met with a couple business owners who claim they never received notices. So this is going to help some of those type businesses. Once again, the amnesty is just to hopefully assist the businesses, continue. And they're still going to pay their business license. They're just not going to pay the penalty fees, which.
Yeah, I understand that, but the whole point is in having a penalty fee is so that people pay when they're supposed to. And I don't know if they can ask for extensions or things like that, but people have to be responsible, especially if they're going to own a business. They're supposed to be people who are responsible. And when the city notifies them that they're late, they're supposed to take care of it. There's supposed to be some sort of communication. And if they don't, and if they're not a smart enough business person to keep documentation on what they pay, then they probably shouldn't be in business. I'm a person who believes in being responsible. If you're going to own a business, be responsible. If you're going to be an owner of a house, be responsible. Take care of your surroundings. Take care of business. Do what you're supposed to do. But if the city keeps on giving amnesty programs every time someone doesn't pay for 3 years, what is that? Oh, we'll just wait until the City of Hawaiian Gardens does another amnesty program. So I'm not real big on them because it bothers me that these people have not bothered to. Now, if it's a problem with our staff, if it's a problem with our not keeping tabs, okay, then that makes sense to have an amnesty program just to clean it up and start over again. But if it's just to basically say, hey, we know that you're never going to pay this, and rather than just keep asking you for something that we never get, we're going to give an amnesty program. That I don't like that. And what is our recourse if someone doesn't pay their penalty fees? What is our recourse at the end of the road? How do we say, hey, you didn't pay your fee, it's compounded, and now we're going to have to what?
Okay, we have 3 recourses under our municipal code. Number 1, the municipal code indicates that the fee plus a penalty is a debt to the city, so we can go to small claims and collect it, get a judgment. Number 2, it's also a violation, criminal violation, a misdemeanor. So we can send it to the city prosecutor and they can prosecute. And then the third item is they can actually be cited. In addition to the fees, they can get sent a citation. The first violation is $100, the second is $250, then $500 for each violation. So the dollar figure can go even higher. Now, if the city prosecutor is involved and a misdemeanor complaint is filed and a court or jury finds them guilty, a misdemeanor carries a penalty of up to 6 months in jail and $1,000 fine, or just the jail or both. So we seldom, go through the misdemeanor complaint side. Normally, you just want compliance. Putting people in jail sometimes, for certain items, you don't really get compliance. But at some point, some cities decide that we need to make examples to make sure that we mean business. So at this point, I'm just telling you what the different remedies exist under the municipal code.
I believe that, I'm acting in this ordinance in good faith that we're trying to encourage our businesses to stay in the city and provide for their income rather than being malicious and try not to pay their fees. That was the reasoning of my question in terms of having an audit after the lapse time of the amnesty. Now, the purpose of the amnesty is to provide me pardon for something that I am aware of. And leading to the mayor's comment, I would be reassured of this if we could somehow get a list of those individuals, send them a letter again, indicating that your fees have not been paid and this program is available to you, and then if they do not act after that time, then I would feel comfortable in terms of, but it seems that we're trying to encourage our businesses with this resolution in that manner.
And I like that list idea, but I would go one step further and say, take that list of people who have received the amnesty and make sure that those people pay next time like they're supposed to, and don't give those people amnesty again if they do the same kind of thing in the future. Is there a way we can keep a record of that? I mean...
Well, who keeps a record of the business licenses?
The city finance department keeps a record of the business licenses. The problem is that it is costly to pursue collection, and we don't have the resources to do that all the time. But we can provide you a list of those businesses, and we can follow up as you've requested.
See, and that's the bottom line right there. And that's what businesses know already. And that's why they don't pay. Bottom line. They know it's a costly procedure for a city to go after them, so they're just not going to pay. And that's the bottom line on the amnesty program, too. We know they're not going to pay, so let's just wipe this clean and stop sending all this mail. You know, this goes back to the code enforcement meeting that we just had the other day. If we're going to have a code, then let's enforce the code, or let's not make the code. But if we're going to have a code, then let's enforce it. Even if it's costly, let's enforce it, because then word will get around, hey, Hawaiian Gardens, don't mess with them, because they will follow through, just as a matter of principle. And we will end up going to court. We may end up going to jail, but we better pay what we're supposed to pay. But I don't want to see an amnesty program in another couple of years for the same thing for the same people. I don't want to do that. Like you said, Ernesto, like you agreed, that we've had a little bit of problem in the finance department because of staffing and things like that. So maybe some of it we can own, some of it is our fault. So, you know, I would be in favor of the amnesty program now, but the list that Council Member Rios mentioned, I totally agree with that. And I think we should keep very good records on who received that amnesty, so that in the future we can remind them, hey, we were good to you once, but we're not doing this again. Okay?
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem Bruce, and Council, just to clarify, it's a 6-month amnesty. There's no intention on our end to reintroduce this next year. Once this 6 months is through, our plan is to do an audit, like our interim finance or our finance consultant mentioned, and move forward. I mean, we're going to make sure we notify all businesses and anyone else who may want to seek to do business in our city that, you know what, you're going to have to follow the rules, and there's deadlines, and we're going to be working on that.
I'd like to add, I mean, I understand Barry's premise, and I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying, but my question is, on this audit, one of the things that I'm wondering is, why are these people not paying? I mean, and you know, what percentage of businesses in other communities aren't complying with their business license? And if we're different from them, what is the difference? What are we doing different from other cities that they do have compliance? And hopefully this audit would give us some of that type of information as well. I also think that we also have to consider that we talk about making this community a welcoming businesses and welcoming them to come and work here and provide services for our community. Hopefully, through this audit, through this process, we can start working on a program, and then we put something in place so that we don't have to give amnesties in the future.
If the development department issues the licenses, right? No.
No, we don't issue licenses. We approve them for land use. We used to be involved in the business license business, but it got turned over to finance years ago. Our only involvement in business license is basically approving the land use component, making sure that they're properly zoned.
Well,
and then of course there's the enforcement part of it. If we're told that there's a business owner, specifically more a business owner located in the city, if we're told that there's a business owner in the city that hasn't paid, normally we have our community relations officer go out there and approach them, and for the most part, I believe they do pay. I don't know if we have any outstanding or not. That employee doesn't work for me right now, but basically they're either, most of the licenses are under $100. So if you're either presented with the If you have a business license that you have to pay and it's $60, I don't recall the exact amount. The citation's $100, so we give them an option. Do you want to pay the $100 citation, or do you want to pay the business license, which is a lot less? So that's the extent of our involvement, basically. We just deal with the land use approval component.
So, so that's why the citation, $100, and if you multiply that for some, and this is per month, what was the penalty? Is it per month, is it not?
15% compounded per month.
So that becomes a lot of money real quick.
Right, and the citation would be
Yeah.
$100 per day.
Now, I know it's difficult for some of these businesses, especially during this time of the year. Then we talked about giving them a certain time so that, because this is during the time when there's Christmas and all that's going on, and
We're coming back with a different ordinance. This one is a temporary ordinance, temporary time for amnesty. We're bringing back a different ordinance that would amend the code to change the due date. Right now, the licenses are due December 31st.
So,
Yeah.
they're already,
So we're going to be proposing to change that to January 31st.
Yeah.
So giving the businesses an extra month.
now we're talking about small businesses. Businesses, they're not making any money. They're open 7 days a week, and staff here probably makes more in a year than they'll ever make in 10 years on these businesses' profit. I know Mr. Bruce here, he wants to get tough on these little businesses, but if we do also, if we don't find a solution where we can help them, then we won't have to worry about it, because we're going to have more closed businesses, more and more empty buildings. So we have to work with them and help them out. So it would be a good idea, like once we get the audit, the finance department can give the code enforcement, which also goes and checks for licenses. Have them go into the business and tell them, hey, this is what you owe. You haven't paid the license. This is what it is. If you don't pay it, then we're going to penalize you. And the way it is now, they have the tendency to. They think, well, they haven't called me up, so I'm not going to pay this year, and so that's the way it is. So I guess if there's no more discussion on this,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Are we approving it with the amendment that was made in it? Or do we have to add that amendment for the list? Do we have to say something about that? Or
No, we got
just
that. We'll,
information for staff?
yes.
Okay,
do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
Well, can we schedule this for an agenda item?
We're already working on it.
Okay.
Just so you know, this will be on your next agenda. This is only introduction. So it'll be on your next agenda for second reading and adoption.
Yeah, but I'm referring to agendizing the fee permit and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the record, an ordinance of the City Council, the City of Hawaiian Gardens, County of Los Angeles, State of California, providing an amnesty program for business license taxes from March through September 2014, which forgives certain past obligations for taxpayers who register with the city and agree to pay all future business license taxes as required under the Hawaiian Gardens Municipal Code.
Thank you. So now we'll proceed to item C, consent calendar. Items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussions of these items. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered separately. Do we have any items that you want to?
I would Mr. Mayor, I would like to remove number 1 and number 2.
I'd like to pull number 5.
No, yeah, you got number 2 already. Great. Okay.
And
Go ahead.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
and I'd like to pull 8 and 10.
And I would like to pull 4 and 13. Did somebody pull item number 3? And item number 3.
Is there anything left in there? There's a few.
In that case, I'll make a motion to approve the rest in its entirety.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item C1.
Mr. Mayor, the reason I pulled this particular item is because we had a concern during oral reports of a discrepancy in the bids in terms of the time and consideration of completion of the project, if I understood the gentleman correctly. And I would like the staff, or I'm not sure who needs to clarify that information before approval.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, let me give a somewhat of a background, and then we'll have Wildan representative address that. Every year or so, when the opportunity exists, we will budget some funds to do an overlay project, such as what's being proposed here. As you know, we adopted a pavement management plan, and we've identified various streets in the city that need to be rehabilitated, which we either do through a slurry seal or an overlay job. We met with the committee members, and I believe the committee members on this one here was Mayor Rodriguez, and I believe it was Councilmember Mike Gomez. And we had concluded that these were more or less the streets that we were going to do and follow, and basically they were consistent with what the council had previously adopted with the pavement management plan. Prop R funds will be utilized for this project as identified. This is budgeted as well in the current fiscal year. Now, as you know, we have a contract with Wildan. Wildan provides ongoing engineering services, and it's also their responsibility built in within their contract to provide plans and specs and just a whole menu of different engineering services. Our city engineer is Ismail, and who's here 3 days a week. So one of the reasons why I had requested that we solicit some type of proposal on this project, even though we have an agreement with Wildan, is I don't want to leave a blank check open. So I want to know what's it going to cost to prepare plans and specs. And so basically we circulated an RFP, advertised it, so pretty much the entire community knew about it because we advertised it, and we got the following 7 proposals. Wildan, being the low bidder, $36,265. Obviously, we are recommending that they get the job. And as you can see, we have a high of $89,500. Now, I haven't gotten any phone calls from any of these people, let alone I didn't get any phone calls from infrastructure engineers, who was the gentleman that just showed up here at the podium. But I'm going to have Mr. David Hunt, who's an engineer with Wildan, to explain the RFP itself.
Mayor and City Council members, I am David Hunt. I'm a Senior Vice President and Officer of Wildan Engineering. Start off, we are complete compliance with the RFP that was issued by the city. The other consultant mentioned 3 items: labor compliance, material testing, and construction time frame. We have the labor compliance in there. We have the material testings in our fee. And as far as the construction period, he was throwing a 15-day thing. Well, we looked at it and we assumed it's a 20-day project, and that's what we have a full-time inspector out there for 20 days. We do the labor compliance really on all our projects. We know all the different requirements for different ones. We keep them in the log, whether they're required or not. It's always a good idea to have labor compliance with your people in there. Our material testing, actually it's a Willdan lab. We own a material testing lab that's state certified. So it's on site in our Anaheim office, and we use them on all our street projects and do the material testing. We call them only when we need them for just the exact work, so it's in there. So we have everything covered that was discussed in there, and I believe our fee is still the lowest of the bunch. And if you have any questions, be glad to answer them.
And I noticed in the report we've contracted with you about 11 years. Is that correct, or so?
Yeah, I believe that's about
15,
correct.
it says 15 plus years. Have there been any concerns as to them being the designated?
No, as a matter of fact, like you said, they've been here for quite some time. We've used them on a lot of our projects. Ismail here is the city engineer of record. Now, as you know, we have not always awarded them a contract. There are times that we have done a slurry seal job or another asphalt job, and they were not the lowest bidder, and they did not get the bid. And I believe Mr. Ronaldo remembers that. And so, again, I make it a habit that when there's money out there, when there's funds, I don't just sign a blank check and just say, just because you have a contract, you're going to get the contract automatically, and just leave a blank check, because then I won't know how much I'm going to get billed for preparing the plans and specs. So basically, we create an RFP, and that's used as a guideline, and we circulate it out there to the community, to all the parties interested. And we've never had a problem. Just Willdan just happens to be the low bidder this time around. It is consistent with the RFP that was circulated to come here and, expose all the bids and then say, well, we should have done this or we could have done that. I think they should have called if they had any concerns before they put in a bid. So staff is recommending Willdan Engineering get the bid.
One of my concerns before was that since our city engineer, which he is a part-time engineer, works for Willdan, and my concern was that in some of those big contracts that we had before was that it almost seemed like a conflict of interest, because we're having an engineer working for the city, and then which is a Willdan engineer who works for Willdan, and then Willdan getting some of these contracts. If I remember correctly, we didn't even used to go for bids under some of these contracts, small ones like this. In fact, that's the reason I was raising a lot of noise. I would like to ask a question here. On the paragraph, it says, Willdan Engineering is the lowest responsive proposer in the amount of $36,265 for a turnkey professional engineering design, construction and management services for rubberized asphalt, concrete overlay, various residential, so on. What does that mean, turnkey professional engineer design?
Okay. First of all, remember, all we're doing at the present time is approving a consultant to design the work. We're not doing the actual work. We're not doing any construction at all. So all they're doing at this point is you're hiring a consulting firm, an engineering firm, to prepare plans and specifications, and then to do the project management and inspect the project. Now, as you know, we also discussed this in the past, and we have gone out to every time we have a project, we always get proposals. However small they are, we always get proposals. When it comes to design work is actually exempt from having to get RFPs or having to get bids because it's professional services. However, I still do get the proposals just for purposes of making sure that we have a cap on the actual work. If I don't do that, if I don't get proposals, if I don't get an agreement of some sort that says we're going to create these plans and specs for the design work of these streets, and I don't get a cap on what that amount is going to be, it's an open-ended requisition, and I can just continue writing checks, and I can go on for $50,000, $60,000. I don't know that. So that's why we put an RFP out there, and we get proposals in that way. So when it comes to professional services, we are not even required to put it out to bid. Should this amount have come under a $35,000 amount, As you know, the city administrator has the authority to approve contracts up to $35,000. It's over by $1,600 and change. So we thought, let's put it on the agenda because that's what the rule is. But basically, this is not the first time that Willdan has done these type of jobs. And we constantly put out RFPs for projects like this, and we've been pretty consistent.
So, again, what is the turnkey professional?
Turnkey basically means they're going to design the project. They're going to design the plans so the contractor can bid them. They're going to be responsible for contract management. They're going to be responsible for inspecting the job. They're going to have an inspector out there, just like they do with all projects, all capital improvement projects. There's an inspector on site to make sure that the project is built and consistent with the plans that were designed. And like I said, you do have a contract with Willdan. It's not an exclusive contract, but it is a contract that you have with Willdan to provide a vast array of all engineering work for the city of Hawaiian Gardens, minus the construction part. They're not in the business of building roads or building memorials or building anything like that. They just do design work. So their job basically is to put plans and specs together, and then we advertise it, and then contractors will bid based on the plans and specs that have been approved by the city council.
So this is just for design and
It's just design work.
and design and the
It's not construction.
inspection
Right.
of the construction.
Right. You won't see Willdan bidding because they can't. They're not in the business. They don't have the capability to do the actual construction work. So to me, that's more of a conflict of interest where you have someone designing it and then building it as well. So we have a separate firm doing the design work, and you have separate firms doing the actual construction. And so tonight, all we're asking you to do is to approve the contract with Willdan to provide plans and specifications for the streets as recommended by the Capital Improvement Project Committee.
Any more comments?
Well, I appreciate that you went and got proposals for this because it is good to justify the public money as to are we getting the best proposal. I am sad to hear that the infrastructure engineers did not contact you earlier about their concern. Maybe it could have been addressed before a meeting or given more of a justification. And seeing their long-standing commitment to our city, I'm not sure. I mean, that speaks more to me in terms of this project.
I'd just like to say, my opinion is these are blind bids. The description of what the job entails goes out to everybody, and then it's their responsibility to come up with what the cost that they can do it for. And so I think everybody's treated fairly in the process. So to be consistent, we've always gone with the lowest bidder and the lowest responsive bidder, which means that they comply with all the requirements. So they have here. And there was an incident with infrastructure. I believe it was on the park buses or the bus stops, and they were the low bidder, but it was recommended that we go with another organization that was $1,000 or $1,500 higher, but we went with the lowest bidder. I turned it around. They were the second lowest bidder. Was recommend. No, I got it right the first time. And what I'm trying to say, to be consistent, we went with the lowest bidder. Because that's the responsible thing to do for the money, and to be fair in the process for everyone involved. So I'll make a motion that we approve as is.
Before closing discussion, if I may encourage infrastructure engineering to submit a proposal again in the future, and if the requirement is the lowest bidder, it looks like they would have come into it this time around. So we'll see what happens next time.
I want to remind you again that for design services and these types of engineering services, lowest bidder is not the first requirement. Under state law, the first requirement is competence and ability to perform or design the work. So when you have competitors that they're all equally qualified, then you can look at the dollar amount.
Well, who makes the decision whether they're qualified or not qualified?
You look at the proposals and you look at the history of the firms.
Oh.
And we don't have in a staff report at this time, whether, Wildan or infrastructure engineers don't have the qualifications. Normally, most of these firms, actually all of these firms, are not going to submit a bid if they're not qualified to do the work. So, this is a fairly simple project, and cities do it day in, day out, all the time. So that's not an issue here. I just want to remind you, because there will be instances where the lowest bidder will not be qualified. Either they don't have the licenses required, or the individuals that are presented to perform the work have never done that type of work before. And so I want to make sure that you understand what state law requires.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be the responsibility of staff to investigate that? And if
Yes.
they see something, let us know.
Yes.
Another reason is that they were not responsive to the bid or to the RFP. And yes, it would be staff's responsibility to do that due diligence and come back with the recommendation.
Well, it's obviously, we yield to the expertise of the staff. However, we can, if need be, request the RFPs. We can review them ourselves and ask whatever question it is about the qualifications of the individuals. On this one, I'm sure we're just taking it upon trust of the staff that the recommendation is the best for our city.
Motion was made. I'll second it.
One more item before you second it, one more comment. As you know, we had a few incidents where the lowest to the second lowest was somewhere two items. One was $20,000, the other one was over $20,000, and staff and everybody else recommended to go on the second highest. And of course, I put up an argument. Well, I mean, we're talking about $20,000, and so this is why I'm kind of suspicious on some of these bids. When you throw around $20,000 like if it was nothing, no, we'll just go to the second because we know them. But yet the lowest bidder, we might not know him, but we don't really. I mean, if they have a good record, then I don't see why not. Now on the bus shelters, there was $1,000 difference between, and of course it was recommended to Wildan. And we had a big discussion on that. And if I remember, I made a comment that, $1,000 doesn't seem much, but $1,000 on your mentor program means a lot. So that's how we ended up with infrastructure on that particular bid. So we got to keep that in mind. Most of these engineering consultant firms, they've been around, and they have supported many cities. So, like I said, who's going to make the decision whether they're qualified or not? If they have 20 other cities they're working with, and so actually, I think it's going to be up to you to make that decision whether they're qualified or not staff. Okay, we can second the motion. Motion carries. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, that was C1. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to C2, item C2.
Mr. Rodriguez, I pulled out resolution number 2 because I need additional information in regards to this MOU that we're entering. It seems that the city is at full responsibility for every single thing that happens with this particular project. However, ultimate approval is with the district. So I just need clarification in terms of what the agreement is.
Staff report?
I can actually explain that a little bit. This is actually being constructed on ABC Unified School District property, and even the district itself wouldn't have authority over the project. They have to go through the state's architect's office, And because it's their property and because the state ultimately has jurisdiction and authority, the agreement has to be written this way. This agreement is very similar to the joint use agreement that we have for the use of the other fields and also for the construction and use of the sports complex. And it just has to be written this way because it's not city property, it's district property, and the district itself has to respond to the state of California and state agencies.
Do we have an idea as to what the project is? I mean, it doesn't state anything about, it just says the intent, but not necessarily the project
we
itself.
have a presentation.
Oh, okay.
The architect's here, so he'll be able to.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as the city manager shared, we have the president of WLC Architects here this evening, Mr. Jim DiCamillo, excuse me, who will present you regarding the Gabrielino Indian Educational Trail, which would be housed at Ferris Fetty Middle School. Mr. DiCamillo?
It's nice to be back in the city of Hawaiian Gardens. The last time I presented this project, the park was a school, and the idea of having a sports park at Fetty Middle School was really just a dream at that point. So in that presentation, which now seems like eons ago, we were showing a computer flyby of what the sports park would look like. Well, as the sports park developed, and you can see from the Google Earth photo that it's now a reality, and by the way, your grass looks better than their grass. In the process of building the sports park, we discovered a hidden treasure. In the 30 years of being a practicing architect in California, this was we finally hit one. We discovered Indian artifacts on the site of the Fetty Middle School. Not oil, not gold, but Indian artifacts. They were discovered, I think I don't know if I have control over the button, maybe there's a button here. One of these is probably a forward button. There you go. There was the discovery, and we were lucky in the course of construction, A, that we found them, but also that they didn't impact our construction schedule. And as I know many of you were at the dedication ceremony for the sports park, we kept building. Here in this location, just off of the running track, was discovered not a burial ground, but a village site of the Gabrielino Indians. Interesting to note, when this was found, just sort of get the idea of the timeline we're talking about, this is dating back 400 or 500 years. A archaeologist from UCLA was called out. I called him Indiana Jones. He told me he always wanted to be an architect, not an archaeologist. And literally they discovered jawbone, human artifacts, tools that the Indians used. And I asked the gentleman how, what would have been there when this was there, when the village was there. And I will never forget what he told me. He said, Jim, nothing that you see other than the mountains in the far distance would have been here. Nothing. Everything there was about 8-10 feet down. And none of the improvements that you can look around, none of the trees, villages, obviously stores, roads, nothing other than the mountains, Mount Baldy off in the distance that the Indians actually had a name for, was there. This, what you now know as the drainage channel, was actually a creek, stream bed, naturally there, and that's why they believe this settlement was there. And settlement is a loose term. I'm, again, not the archaeologist, but it was just a small gathering of people. It was a much less populated area. So in the process of creating the plans, we never knew that was there because we didn't do a test boring in that area. There is the site where the artifacts were discovered. The district came to us and said, it would be a really great idea, WLC, if now that this discovery was made, if we made some record of it, if this treasure, which actually the Indians didn't even know was there, again, it's not a holy site or anything, if we could do something with it that would create a monument to the fact that it was discovered there instead of the bones just going off to a museum somewhere. Could we do something educationally that would help the kids of Hawaiian Gardens and the students of ABC Unified actually experience what was found? And so we designed what we're calling the Indian Trail, which is this diagram here. And so what you saw before, I'll show you in color and describe then what the project is. That's the artifact discovery site there. This is a colored rendition of what it will look like, and you can see the grass is being very well maintained. This is the play structure area, the edge of the track. The discovery site was here, and literally got to hold the artifacts in my hand. So the idea is to create a trail of kiosks that would surround the softball field. None of this impacts the actual playability of the sports park. In fact, it's designed to be a walking trail. If your husband's playing, the mom and the baby could use the stroller and walk the park, as is often the case in sports parks. So we're sort of getting double use out of it, and it actually links up to the trail that follows around the play area here and comes off the snack bar in the lower area. What it is an initial node that will be where the burial site is. I'll explain that. And then a series of educational kiosks. Small print, you can read that actually Dr. Gary Smuts, previous now retired superintendent of ABC Unified, was a history teacher and very interested in this topic, created a series of topical points that you would pass along your walking trail. And I'll explain how those work as we get there. The burial site is going to be distinguished by a public tour gathering point, not an amphitheater, but a patio area where a classroom of students, maybe 30, 35 kids, could be talked to by a presenter. This element here is sort of we call it a concrete dome. It's just a slight rise in the concrete, and in there will be the burial site with essentially a plexiglass cover, so that the students don't look at this as just some ethereal thing, but they actually will see the dirt where these artifacts were found. And they are going to be reburied there from the museum where they're currently being housed. There'll be a few rocks around that students can sit on, in a place where a speaker could explain what it is that the kids are going to see. By the way, each one of these points is also self-descriptive. There will be essentially at each kiosk and at the original site, a pole-mounted graphic that will be a descriptive signage explaining what it is that you're going to see, what you're seeing, just in case there isn't a docent there to explain it. And then every one of the kiosks, which is really nothing more than just a small concrete patio with a seat wall, will be descriptive of something in Indian life and culture that was going on. This one little corner shows agriculture, maybe arts and crafts, and again, Dr. Smuts and the tribe have helped in trying to distinguish what those things would be. They've actually written text that would appear on somewhat amounts to a podium, really, and the podiums are going to be built out of steel and therefore vandal resistant and all the rest of that stuff that would be descriptive of the various elements that we're trying to talk about in Indian culture. And then each one of them, or the kiosk seats, if you will, those that surround the seating area where one might pause or hear a lecture, will be graphics. This actually is an actual Indian graphic that was found in the caves in the San Gabriel Mountains. I don't honestly know what it's depicting, but these are pictographs, and we have a number of them that have been discovered over the years. And so these sorts of symbology will be presented throughout the walkway, cast into the concrete. So coming back, what you end up with is a full circuit loop. It's a sidewalk. To put it in the less glamorous terms, it's a sidewalk, a walking trail of which there will be nodes that talk about Indian life. One element I didn't refer to is there is talk with the tribe of having a memorial statue right there, sort of the greeter to this, which is of Toi Parina, who is one of their Gabrielina Indian tribe, most honored citizens, if you will, and has a whole story about her and what she did is the transition came from the missions to the Indians. Or from the Indians to the missions, however you want to think about it. So she will sort of greet people as you come up, and then the rest of it is essentially a concrete walking trail. The district has not only these designs, but final plans of how to build all this. I think it's a relatively it's an extensive project in that it's a lot of sidewalk, but it's a simple project in its detailing. It's budgets being what they are, it's not intended to be over the top. It's low maintenance and all the rest of that stuff. And the district has a what amounts to a unit cost contractor who is looking at the costs and $1 per square foot that they bid all the time for their concrete and the like. So that's the project. Hopefully that describes what it is that we're doing, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Excuse me, it sounds wonderful. I appreciate, obviously, all the contributions from our Native American forefathers.
And the current
And it's
tribe that's been
amazing
involved.
that's what you're doing. I mean, I'm glad to see all that you're doing there. I do have a different question, though, so I will yield to the other members if they have a question in terms of the project.
Okay. Well, I would just like to make a comment and a question. I think my understanding was part of the reason to put this trail in as well, because after the finding of there was really a goodwill gesture to the Indian tribes to let them, to show them that we didn't want to dishonor the site and everything, and that and also so that they wouldn't do anything to cause delays or try to block the construction that was going on. I think it was a win-win for both groups, us and the Indians. Also, as far as costs, my understanding, this is money that was left over for the budget for the sports complex itself, and is that where this money is
That
coming
is
from
correct.
for the project?
That is correct. And if you, I'm not sure, no, I don't think Steve covered that portion, but council did approve or authorize $50,000 to be paid out this year, and we're recommending that the remainder be paid out next fiscal year.
Now, on a different topic, since this is a Native American site, we do have an annual powwow at our city that is used at Ferguson Elementary. And we have an MOU with the ABC Unified School District. Does it need to be included? I would appreciate if we could allow the Indians, I mean, I'm not sure allowing is the correct word because obviously it's their land, but if they can use this site for their program, I think that would be just amazing.
That's an option we can definitely.
Can we include that in the MOU?
I don't think it needs to be included in the MOU. We have a joint use agreement with the school district, which enables us to use all the facilities in the city, all the ABC Unified School District facilities in the city.
But that joint use gives ABC complete authority over what is done with the facility. At least the contract that we signed earlier for Fetty Sports Complex, the calendar is pretty much decided by ABC Unified. And if the city fits into it, then we fit into it, and if we don't, we don't.
Actually, for the sports complex area, the school only has use of it during the school year. And if they have a special program, they will notify us. But the city has full control over the sports complex portion of Fetty.
In the summer, you mean?
Actually, when
Year-round.
school is not in session, year-round. So after school closes, 3 o'clock, Steve can explain that.
Yes, Mr. Bruce, the city gains during the school year, during the weekday, we start programming there as early as 4 p.m. Up until 9 p.m. On the weekends as well, we're there sometimes as early 7, 8 a.m. up until 9 p.m. And then like Mr. Sandoval said, during summer when they're not there in school, then we have the option of going in earlier as well.
Well, how about like after-school games and things like that in ABC Unified? Like if there's a football game or something like that.
Right. Their staff communicates with our staff, with Mr. Mendoza, our supervisor for the sports programs, so they coordinate schedules. But you're right. If the school has a flag football game, they usually start by 2:30, 3 o'clock. So they're done pretty much close to the 4 p.m. time frame that we've agreed to.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the idea of doing the powwow there. And I think that's a great idea. I'll just enhance it a lot. And one question I had about the project, too, was I noticed that your sidewalk in the picture is a little yellow as opposed to the white sidewalk over here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be a tint in the
Yes.
sidewalk so that it looks more...
Yeah, the intent is for it to be more of a natural
Yeah,
path,
good.
and so you understand it's not just your average city sidewalk.
Great.
Yeah.
And I'm all in favor of that Native American statue at the front. Now, I know that's a little costly. Do we have enough money in there to do that on top of the project?
Jim, was that included in the estimate?
No, there will be items within the project. I mean, as the concept designer. This is going to be a group project by a lot of people, and I believe including the Indians, who will look to raise funds for certain elements of this. So the theory so far has been that the budget will go as far as the budget will go, and then everything above that would be a separate fundraising item. So WLC, we're used to public improvements. That's been pretty much all we do, and you fit within the budget, as is obvious by the fact that you have some money left over.
I notice in our contract, ABC isn't really doing anything, right? No monetary contribution whatsoever?
No, they provided $500,000 towards the sports complex.
To the sports complex.
Right.
And how much was the whole project? At the end of the day?
I got that information.
The Moskowitz Foundation also donated
$2.5
$2.5 million, I think.
Oh, it was 2.5?
Yeah. Was it $2 million?
I think it was $1 million.
No.
I think it was 1.5.
Wait a second, I had it here.
1.5?
And then we got $1 million grant, state grant.
Oh, that's right.
Right, we had $1.5 million from the Moskowitz Foundation, $1 million state grant, and $500,000 from ABC Unified School District. I think the total cost was somewhere around $7 million. Okay. I had that summary with me.
Yeah. Why isn't ABC pitching in for this project at all?
They didn't have the funding available.
It's a great educational opportunity. I think it's.
Do we have any idea in terms of the time frame, estimated time of how long it's going to take, and then estimated time in which we might be able to start the project?
The plans are ready now, so the project, again, because of the way the district was going to contract with this with their unit cost concrete contractor, could literally begin almost any time, weather permitting, but since we don't have weather anymore, I guess it could be any time. The total duration of construction is probably 90 days, maybe 120 days. It's primarily a sidewalk is what you're building. And there's some sensitivity, obviously, to the time of year, thus the variance, because not only weather but scheduling, although this isn't really all that much in conflict with the events that go on there. Obviously, we have to be mindful of leagues and other things that will be going on in the sports park so that everybody's safe and protected from the limited construction that it is. So there's a little variance in there just depending on what time of year we get going. We've literally been talking about this project since the bones were discovered, which now the park is a couple years old already, I guess.
I see trees in here. Are those already there, or are we putting those in?
Many of those are already there. If you actually saw the original Google Earth picture, that whole line on the right is mostly there. Some of the others would be there would be smaller plants intended literally for the educational environment to actually explain what it is you're seeing. Mm-hmm. Planting trees that would have been of the variety that actually existed 500 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, motion approved. Now we go to C3.
Yeah, I'll have Ms. Linda Zuniga present the staff report.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, cities that wish to contract with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department must enter into the Municipal Law Enforcement Services Agreement with the County of Los Angeles every 5 years. The city's current agreement expires this June, and the agreement before you for approval provides services through June of 2019. The new agreement was negotiated with the county by the California Contract Cities Association through a subcommittee of city managers. The negotiation process has resulted in an agreement that addresses issues that have arisen in some stations throughout the county. Revisions to the new agreement include Section 2.6 in the Administration of Personnel section, which provides clarification of the employment relationship between the city and county personnel. Section 3.0 contains new language in the Deployment of Personnel section, which states the Sheriff's Department shall make every attempt to avoid deployment deficiencies and establishes a protocol for the Sheriff's Department to provide timely notification to the city and begin a resolution process in the event of changes in deployment or in the event of overall service compliance falling below 98%. I'd like to make a note, too, that our compliance in this city has not fallen below 98%. The annual cost for the city's current level of service provided by the Sheriff's Department is $3,025,432, and funding for this was approved through the adoption of the city's annual budget for fiscal year 13-14. Staff recommends adopting Resolution 005-2014, approving the Municipal Law Enforcement Services Agreement between the County of Los Angeles and the City of Hawaiian Gardens.
Do we have any comments?
I did not pull this item, but I would appreciate maybe a quick overall view for our residents as to the services that the sheriffs provide. I mean, the number of cars, that kind of details. Do you have that information?
Yes, I do. Part of the service agreement, I can actually refer you to that in the agenda packet. On the agenda packet, page number 40 through 43 details our current service with the Sheriff's Department.
I saw that. Can you give an overview? What does that translate into us as a resident? I
Yes.
mean, am I going to see how many cars during the day, that kind of information?
Yes. Currently, the city provides, through the Sheriff's Department, there's 2 patrol vehicles at all times, and that's provided by 3 8-hour shifts. So that's every day, 7 days a week. In addition to that, we have the special assignment officers that work 2 special assignment officers that work a 40-hour week. We have a 3rd special assignment officer who is dedicated to our YAL program. The 2 patrol vehicles are all-purpose, so they will cover general law matters and also traffic law. They're not restricted to one specific item. They cover both. They're all-purpose. The SAO deputies, they provide service, more specific assignments related to more specific problems. Another item under the sheriff's contract is our community service assistants, and they work in the our public safety office, which currently is a vacant position, but the county is currently recruiting and trying to fill that position. They provide services such as parking citations and front counter assistance at the safety center. Our contract also provides for a detective who works alongside with the SAO deputies and the patrol deputies. And that is funded through a grant, through the property taxes, through the County of Los Angeles. It's partially funded.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and one item that you're not going to see in the contract is our special assignment sergeant. So because we have 3 special assignment officers and 1 detective, the station commander decided to provide that or the sergeant, I should say, to the city at no cost, no additional cost.
Now, I know I met the officer in charge of what's the name of the program? AYL? YL. And he takes the youth hiking or something. I mean, I'm sure that's one of many programs that he does, but that's wonderful. I think that's great.
If I might add also, the station captain, the Lakewood station captain, he does provide a yearly report to the city council on their activities and crime rates and an overview of the services once a year to the city.
Any more comments?
If not, obviously we need law enforcement, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Unanimous, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, could I don't remember the question earlier in the meeting, but item 5 is a request about the property for the commercial rehabilitation. I believe the owner's here. Could we move to that now so that he's not having to wait any longer?
Okay, we can go ahead and go to item 5. No, item 4. Yeah. Item number 5, C5, a request from the Community Development Department to approve plans and specifications for a commercial rehabilitation project and authorize staff to solicit construction bids for property located at 12430 Carson Street. And this is the CC Auto Electric.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, this is basically a commercial rehabilitation project. As you know, the city had funded 2 of these for this fiscal year, and of course, I believe it would be the last ones that are funded. This was a rehab project reserved for CC Auto Electric, which is the battery shop. And I think you're pretty familiar with this site. The owner has done some extensive cleaning up on the property. As you know, there's a lot of cars on that property, and provides a very popular service here, so he has a lot of traffic. So as you can see from the pictures, there's just a lot of activity there. The building is somewhat substandard. It doesn't have any outside siding at all or stucco, and it's just wood siding. It's been repaired many times. It's just in a state of disrepair, and it needs to be cleaned up. And basically, that's what the plans do, is basically addresses the exterior facade of the property. As you know, the program does not address internal issues unless it's ADA, which in this case we have to deal with bathroom compliance. There's hardly a parking lot in there. It's dirt for the most part, so we have to build a parking lot. And there will be restriping, landscaping, wrought iron fencing, landscaping, signage, just pretty much addressing all the exterior issues and just trying to clean up that property. So all we're doing here tonight is basically approving plans and specs and going out and getting authorization to go out to bid. So we advertise and then we come back and show you the results of the bid. So the owner of the business is here if you have any questions. That concludes the staff report.
I have one question, or maybe more than one. It says here on the summary, it says construction plans and specifications for the commercial rehabilitation have been completed. So did the city pay for that, or did the owner pay for that?
We pay 80%, owner pays 20%.
So this is already, you already have done this.
Right, we've already done the plans and specs. We're asking you to approve them, get us authorization to go out to bid.
Now, is this part of the 175,000?
The construction, we're estimating around that amount. Of course, they're just estimates. The market more or less is going to dictate what's going to happen out there.
So this is separate?
I'm sorry, which part? The cost that we've
incurred? The construction plans and specifications.
In terms of cost that we've incurred on this property, I don't recall what the actual architectural plans cost, but I believe they were under $5,000. But we also had engineering to deal with because we have a parking lot that is all dirt, and that requires grading, and it has to comply with stormwater, NPDES permit, and things like that. And again, that's just a guideline. That's not necessarily what the amount is going to be. We don't know what the amount is going to be until you actually put it out in the market and get bids for them. They could be lower, as you know, they could be higher.
But this was not entered on the approximately,
And hopefully they're lower, because as you know, you guys established a dollar amount for for both projects. I think it was 300,000 and change for both projects, so. And I think we gave OK Tires about 131,000.
Point of information, this was part of the consent calendar, so this has been approved, correct?
no.
No, it's
No,
pulled.
that's why I'm asking. We haven't approved it yet, and we already spent some money for plans, and I thought that usually we approve something, and then you get the plans and specifications.
No, this
I
has
believe
been a
the
project.
RDA approved it.
This
The plans and specs were approved by the RDA board
And
a
then,
couple of years ago.
and then the program ended, and we decided that we would continue to fund outstanding programs.
Yeah,
that
this
had
has
already
been in the
started.
pipeline for quite some time, and one of the reasons, it's taken some time is, obviously, the RDA is no longer involved in this project. It's all city-funded, but also the person that was handling this project is no longer with us, George Montana, so we picked up the slack on that, and it's taken us some time to handle these projects, and so there was no provision to replace that position at that time, so, and here we are now with the last project.
So you mentioned the need for parking lot inside the gate, I'm assuming, so that you don't have the cars blocking the street as they are now in the front?
What happens is, and we've analyzed what's happening there is, and there is a parking lot, but there's really no striping, so they're just parking everywhere. But what happens is, as the business gets busy and there's cars inside, what happens is people just pull up and it bottlenecks right there. Again, it's such a popular place. He has a lot of customers coming and going. I think also he had a lot of problems with people not paying. And so he had to, I believe, go through a lien process to, get rid of the cars and stuff like that. So the property looks a lot different today. He cleaned it up tremendously in terms of the amount of vehicles there. But again, I still notice that he just has a lot of traffic. He's a very popular business. It's a specialty item that he provides. It's not, your traditional mechanic. He's an electrical mechanic and deals with electrical problems with the car, and he's pretty good at it. So there's just a lot of traffic there, and it bottlenecks.
Yeah,
So we're gonna have to deal with that. We gotta it would help to stripe the parking lot, signage. We're gonna put landscaping in the front, so it's not gonna have all that parking in the front like it used to. So we're just trying to bring it up to somewhat to certain standards. It's a legal non-conforming use. It's an automotive repair shop. It's grandfathered in. It doesn't have a conditional use permit or anything like that. It's been there for many years. And it was my understanding in talking to, various council members, including the mayor, that this is something that they wanted to see done. And so here we are tonight.
So what happens if we find that our money has been depleted that we set aside for this? We're obviously not going to stop the project in the middle.
No, if we are over, I'd have to come and ask for a budget amendment, but I'm not sure that we're going to get there. I don't recall the exact number that we approved for Mr. Brad, and that was, I think the total contract was 131, but we're only responsible, I think, for 80% of that. So, and on this project, we're only responsible for 80%. So at this point, we're not really incurring any costs other than what we've already spent, which was authorized. We're just going to go seek bids and see what they come out to. And at that time, when I do present it, that we have the bids, then you'll know overall where we are with the whole entire line item for that account. If it's under, then it's under, and we may have leftover, which you can then reprogram to something else. Or if it's over, then I may have to ask a budget amendment if that's what you want to do.
Is this the only other project that we're finishing?
There was only two that you had authorized. Basically, the RDA was the one responsible for doing these projects, and with the dissolution of the RDA, there are no more projects.
I'll make the motion.
Well, I haven't said my. What worries me is the physical impact. It says probable costs for the construction of the project are estimated at approximately $175,000. Project construction costs are approximate and do not include project exclusions, structural straightening of existing structure, testing and inspection fees, plan check and building fees, and other related unforeseen fees and costs. Construction bids to be received from qualified contractors and may come in above or below the estimate.
That is just my usual disclaimer that I have to have with you.
That's what I was looking at.
And
It was a disclaimer.
You know we're going to put that in there because we don't know where it's going to come out. And like I said, we've had the authorization to spend what we had to spend to do up till now, and all we're doing right now is just going out to bid, and then we'll see where it comes out.
But this disclaimer, I mean, we're talking about some major work here if needed.
Well,
and
if the
that's
building
is going to go
we've
way
had the
over
building-
175,000.
We've had the building analyzed by two structural engineers because we had a concern about the building itself. I mean, if you've seen the building, we're wondering, is this thing going to hold up with the amount of load we're going to put on there?
So you see that 175 is
well,
pretty
structural
close.
wise, they're saying that it's fine. The building is fine, and it's just cosmetic. But again, I don't know where this amount is going to come to. No one's going to know until you put it out to the market, and the market dictates where it's going to come out. But the estimate, okay, when I present you whatever dollar amount, let's say I come back and there's a low, let's say there's a low bidder on the product and it's $145,000, and that's just for the construction end of it. Okay, in terms of other costs, you know I'm going to probably ask for the 10, 15% contingency on top of that. Okay, and then there's plan check fees. I don't know what else potentially we could ask. We're not doing, two of the things that we're not doing was anything with the Chamber of Commerce with the cameras. I believe he has cameras, so we're going to have to take down the cameras and put them back up. So we will know the entire cost when we come back and advertise it. One of the things that we have to do with projects like this, including the one that we did with OK Tires, is that we have to have a pre-job meeting so we can get the contractors can get a good understanding of this project. Initially, it was thought that we were just going to be dealing with the building and not the parking lot. But when I inquired about it, I was told, no, we need to deal with the parking lot as well. And the parking lot is not cheap because there's hardly any asphalt there, and we just can't put base on top of, or asphalt on top of base without doing grading, without doing any surveying work. So the engineering on the asphalt, on the parking lot cost me more than the actual architectural plans. So we had to do a geotechnical survey. We have to do a soils report. I mean, I can't take that chance of just putting base, putting 3-4 inches of asphalt over 3 inches of aggregate, and then not making sure that we have a level parking lot. Otherwise, we're going to have a bird bath. We're going to have gravity sheet flow issues with drainage and et cetera. So this would be.
But this item is just to solicit proposals, right? Anyway,
that's
so
all it is.
We'll know more about all that
We're gonna know
information
more.
once we find
Correct.
out what the proposals are.
Correct. Similar to what you did with the previous project. We went out to bid, you awarded, you didn't have to. There's no commitment yet. I mean, we haven't signed any type of documents that said this has to happen. I mean, just like what happened with some of the other people that were on the waiting list. We had to drop all those people on the waiting list. There was no commitment. So all we've done right now is just spent money, which has been authorized to deal with the architectural component of it for the most part.
Okay, so Barry made a motion. Did anybody second it? I'll second.
I'd just like to also add that I had some work done by CCC, and they're excellent. I highly recommend it. As far as electrical problems on automobiles, they're great. So go ahead and make your motion now. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous motion required. C4. I have one question for our city clerk. On page 48, we have the candidates' statements from the register recorder. As you know that there's 7 of us candidates, and we all paid $600. And I see a statement here for $2,055.41. Is this a total?
We haven't received the final total for the election yet, and we should be receiving that sometime. It should be this month or first of next month. But these are bills that came in that as they're billing, that we pay them. And then as far as your candidate statements, if you get refunds, they will send checks back for refunds. They'll tell us how much that really was, and then they'll send checks back for each of the candidates that did put candidate statements in.
Okay, thank you.
The county would send the check?
The county sends us the checks.
Okay, but they're county checks.
I believe so. I think they come back in your name. If they don't, if it comes back to us, then we submit, we separate. But I'm pretty sure they come back in your name.
All right.
We reimburse them? Right, but I remember. We'll get you your check back if you get a check, okay? And I believe there will be reimbursement.
The reason I asked, because we didn't get one the first time we ran.
But it was less money.
It was less money, yes, yes.
And do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I second it.
Okay, I'm sorry. And Councilmember Rios is not present for the vote. Councilmember Gomez?
Yes.
Councilmember Farfan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bruce?
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay. That was item 4. We did 5. And what else did we have?
8.
Okay. See 5. See 6. See 7.
Yeah, I just wanted to report for the community from this. It seems to me that we've been having a lot of auto thefts, and I do recall that not too long ago, a person was apprehended for that. Did that make those thefts go down, or are we still kind of having the same kind of turnaround for auto thefts in Hawaiian Gardens?
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem Bruce, I'd have to get back to you. We don't have the prior month's information included in the staff report, but we can definitely get back to you all to show you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the year-to-date 50 auto thefts in our city. A lot of autos.
Right.
Any more comments?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we go to item 14.
Number
Oh,
somebody
10.
pull 10.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, can we clarify as to what we still have pending, number 10 and number 13? Is that what I have? Is that correct? Okay.
We have 8, 10,
Somehow I missed number 5.
8, 10, and what is it? 13.
That was 13.
13.
So is it item?
The only reason I pulled this is just to ask the question about the theater arts program, because I didn't see it listed in there again.
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Bruce. Unfortunately, we only had 2 registered participants for the program. So what we've been doing is conducting a weekly clinic at Leeware at the location to try and entice the people to register and get them interested once again in the program. Thursday of this week, the supervisor and I are meeting with the instructor to touch base again and see what we could do. We're also trying to reach out to the schools to see if she can go to the schools and possibly present there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion
I'll make a motion to approve.
to approve staff report? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. What was it?
I'll second it.
Motion carries.
13.
What else do we have? Was it 14 is the next one?
13.
10. Yes, I pulled this item just to get information on this memorandum that Woodruff and Spartan and Smart prepared. Our city attorney, can you give us a little information on this?
Yes, Mayor and members of the City Council, as you know, in the last legislative session, the state of California passed over 2,000 bills. What we did is we took a look at, and the League of California Cities actually reports on all of the bills, all of them, whether they affect cities or not. And what we did is we identified the bills that we thought would be applicable to the different departments of the city, and we actually put together a memo and distributed to the city manager and to all the department heads. In this particular case, the city manager wanted the city council to get a copy and also to give you an opportunity to ask any questions for any of these bills that were reported in this memo. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. We try to lump them according to the different areas. I try to identify those that apply to recreation, those that apply to finance, those that apply to community development and land use. And up on top, I put open government, which is Brown Act, Public Records Act, and items like that. In terms of the city council, the only item that affected the city council was an amendment to the Brown Act that requires that the record clearly show what the vote of the city council was. And when the bill actually passed in last year, I told the city clerk and I started asking that we, indicate for the record what the vote was. If you pay attention in the past, there were voice votes, and there would be one or two council members who couldn't hear what they actually said, and it wasn't clear what the vote was. And now the mayor indicates whether it was unanimous or not, and if someone abstains, someone will have to say, well, there was an abstention as well. My understanding is that there are some larger groups like the sanitation districts, and sometimes you have 10, 15 people at the dais, and members of the public find it very difficult to figure out who's voting how. And it was actually Bay Area's organization or agency that was the basis for having this change to the Brown Act, but it affects now all public agencies. If you have any questions on any of these items, there's quite a bit. I don't think I want to go through. It'll take me 2 hours. I actually did this presentation for the lawyers in my firm, and in 1 hour, I only was able to do half of these bills. But if you have any questions on any individual bill, I'll be happy to answer or report back.
But it's your job to let us know if we're violating any of these, so we're good.
Yeah, if I'd just like to add, you mentioned the sanitation district. I'm the member who attends those meetings, and you're right. What they have us do is if you make a motion or something in your second, you state your name and the city you represent, and that's a change that they started doing in the last few meetings. So you're correct. If there's no other questions, I'll make a.
If there no more. Do I have a motion to receive and file this report memorandum?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Aye.
Now we're going to council actions, discussion items, new business, Closed sessions, none. Oral staff reports.
Are you do?
You went so fast. New business. Now, I know I had just talked to you about this today, Omar and Ernesto, for a special meeting on February 7th at 5. Is that what I would bring up now, or because it needs to be publicized, right, before that?
Yes. I mean, yeah, you can bring it up
Shall I
now.
speak to it then? And
Sure.
Okay, so what I asked for was a special meeting on February 7th at 5 p.m. to be held at the Public Safety Center to meet and greet candidate for Sheriff Bob Olmsted. I originally was going to just have a meeting with individual council members because I'd like for all of our council members to have the opportunity to meet and greet him. And then I started thinking, well, wait, I could just do this all in one big sweep and have a special meeting. And I checked with Omar, and he said that's possible. We could do it that way. So he's available on February 7th. I'd really like for all the council members to have the opportunity to meet and greet him, to ask him any questions if they want, and anybody from the public as well, because it is a public meeting. We decided to move it to the Public Safety Center because there's more room there. I imagine that we wouldn't have more than 20 or so people. I hope, well, if I'm wrong, then I don't know. I guess we'll stand. But I would really encourage you guys to be there and hear what Mr. Olmsted has to say in regards to running for sheriff. I'm impressed with him. Thank you.
Could I make a comment on that? Is we received correspondence from multiple candidates about wanting to meet with us. Is it something that we could, throw it out there to some of the other candidates that we're going to have this little meeting if they want to come and speak as well?
Well, I think it's really important. I mean, it's the sheriff of LA County, so anybody that wants the opportunity to speak, we could do a special meeting in the same way for that person. I think it'd be better to have each one that requests a meeting or a meet and greet to do it individually rather than try to fit them all in at one time, because then it becomes a debate or something. Although a debate would be kind of interesting if we want to, if that's legal. I mean, I love debates, but do I hear a debate? But anyway, I'm more than happy to entertain anybody who wants to come and meet and greet.
Point of information for a lawyer, can candidates come and speak to the council?
The answer is yes. In public comments, they can. What the restriction is that the city council cannot tell the voters how to vote. And so that would be my only admonition. You can ask all the questions you want. I mean, it depends how we list it on the agenda. So I was planning to work with the city clerk and agendize the item as questions and answers with candidate for county sheriff. And then we can list a name, or if I don't know that everyone will be available for the same day. So we can just leave it open-ended and invite everyone to see if more than one
could we
shows up.
actually have a debate? We go set out there, and they set up here, and is that?
Normally, for that type of event, you have a nonprofit or some other organization set it up, and that can be done, but it would not be a official council meeting. That's a different type of event. And the reason for that is because of these debates, you will have the candidate saying, you need to vote for me for X, Y, and Z reason. And so you don't want that to be a city council meeting. You want that to be a separate event that is more like a debate. Or
Could that be called a special meeting, though, as well?
Well, again, I wouldn't recommend that you have a council meeting for that purpose. There is provisions in the Brown Act that says that you can attend, a majority of the council can attend a public event with the caveat that council members cannot speak and cannot participate. They can only be observers. So if that's what you want to do, I would recommend you work with the Chamber of Commerce or a nonprofit group to put that together.
Yeah, I think we should just reach out. If that's your interest, reach out to the chamber we're a member of. And they did something for the school district. So they'd be willing, more than imagine, to do something for our city as well, for candidates.
Yeah. you're right, they had the school board debate here, so they could do the same thing with the sheriff, that they posted.
You want me to do it?
Correct. Yes, please.
So do you want to proceed forward with this meeting, or do you want to hold off until maybe we invite or reach out to the chamber and see what they could orchestrate on our behalf?
Well, since I already set this meeting up, I would like to just go ahead with this, but I would like to pursue that. I think that would be, so far I know of only one other person who has requested the council to hear them. Have you gotten anybody else? Or?
Todd Rogers.
Oh, he did too?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't get that one.
I sent you guys an email.
Oh, today?
No.
A couple days ago.
I got Hellman, but not Todd Rogers. Okay.
I think if we just, have an open invitation, whoever shows up speaks.
Is that a consensus that we leave it open to the candidates that are interested at this special meeting on February 7th?
Well, I don't want to do that. I mean, if we're going to do a debate, or if we're going to do a meet and greet across the board, a forum or something, then we got to give them more notice than that. I mean, and we got to make sure that all their calendars fit, and that's why I wanted to, because I've already set this one up with him. So if anybody wants to go to that, then great. And if they want to pass, then they can pass. But then I would like to pursue this for sure.
Yes.
And we have a long time. It's all the way in, the primary's in June, and then we have November. So there's quite a lot of time to set together. But I think it's a great idea. I'd really encourage it.
Okay, we'll work with the clerk and the mayor in noticing a special meeting for the 7th.
And then reach out to the...
Right, yeah. I made a note to reach out to the chamber to see if they could plan some type of debate.
Okay, then we'll,
Just want to let the residents know that there are openings on our planning commission. Recently, Mayor Rodriguez asked me to contact all the commissioners on all the commissions, and because I've been receiving letters of people who want to keep their positions, and two planning commissioners resigned at that time. So at this time, we don't even have a quorum on our planning commission. We have 3 openings. We have 2 openings on the recreation. And so I've received letters of all the ones that would really like to stay on, and other letters of people with interest in the planning commission, so on. But if anybody's out there that would like to be a commissioner or put in their letter of interest to me, there's information on our website regarding this, and they can email me the letter to City Hall here, and they can call and get my email address or go online and get it. And just a letter of interest, and anybody that is appointed by the mayor with the consensus of the council is with a background check. And so if there's anybody out there that is interested, please contact me here at City Hall. If you need any more information, like I said, it is on the website also.
Yeah, I requested that because I want to make sure that we all are in consensus to elect this on these positions. Before, they were just elected by the mayor. And so this way, we're all involved, and when we get their letters, we can all look at it, and then we can decide on who should be assigned to these committees.
What is the deadline on that?
I have no deadline at this time. I was just told a couple days ago to put it on the website, so we haven't talked about a deadline yet. The deadline for the commissioners that wanted to stay on or whatever was January 10th, and they submitted all their letters. But then I was told to go ahead and put it out for other people to submit letters. And we do have 3 or 4 people who have submitted letters, 2 of them for sure on the Planning Commission and so on. And it's always it's a mayor's appointment, but always with the consensus of the entire council. So if you have anybody that's interested, in the past, years ago, each council member appointed one person to each commission. And that changed over the years because every 2 years, people were kicked off the commissions. And we've got some commissions that are very good. The Public Safety Commission is very active. The Recreation Commission is very active. Planning Commission is as needed at this time because there's not that much going on as far as building. But our 2 commissions that we do have, and the commissioners are very active in their positions. But we do need more commissioners at this time. So, yeah, I'll talk to Mr. Marquez tomorrow and Mayor Rodriguez and get a deadline, and then we'll put it on the website also.
Can I suggest our next council meeting, February 11th? That would be about 2 weeks, and then that would give us time to review and vote on it by the 25th. I mean, I hate for the vacancies to continue.
Make the deadline February 11th, and then you guys review whatever was submitted and make a decision on the 25th.
Would that sound?
It's about almost a month.
It's a month, yeah.
We need to do that next meeting.
Yeah, we'll make those appointments in the next meeting. Any more oral council reports?
I'm sorry, clarifying the deadline is before the next meeting?
This is for the
letters.
Oh, the letters.
So the residents will know when to submit the letters if they're wanting to through our meeting.
So clarifying that the
Yes,
deadline is February 11th.
I'm not sure, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then it will be given to you as soon as I have all the letters and the staff report together. We give it to all the council, and then we'll put it on the February 25th meeting if that is the pleasure of the council.
So I just have a question in regards to that deadline. Your means of communication is strictly maybe just going to be the website?
Well,
that's what I'm asking the question.
The thing is, I have in the past, I've published it in our newsletter, and have no responses whatsoever. So it is on our website, and if they have any questions, they can call me, and they can email me. In fact, the person that emailed me, I mentioned it at a meeting, and I received his email several months ago. In fact, you met with him, this one gentleman. And so the word is out there, but if they have any other questions, like I said, if you want to put on the marquee or whatever, I'm sure that can be done also.
Yeah, I would just make the recommendation that just we go beyond the website
Right.
to ensure that.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the deadline is February the 11th, and we're going to vote on it on the 27th.
Yes. If I may ask something, do you want us to publish it in the community newsletter, because that is the newspaper, because that is one that is thrown out to the residents here in the city at this time? I'll be putting some things in.
I don't think it goes out anymore.
I get it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, I get both papers.
Yeah, I do.
They're missing my block.
You live in the wrong part of
But
town.
I don't get the newsletter. I don't get the city newsletter. So hey, you know.
And the either Gateway or the Community News. Yeah. Okay. Any more council reports? I have one. Last night I attended the ABC Unified School District Education Foundation for the donors. It was a little dinner, semi-dinner there, and this foundation is Sal Flores is one of the main guys in there, and what they do is they get donations from the business owners, from corporations for the ABC Education Foundation, and then in turn, principals of the different schools and the ABC School District will send in the request donations for certain projects, and then they decide, according to the needs of the school, who some of this money goes to. I think they had something like 80,000 money, $80,000 that they acquired from the donors. So this was for the donors last night, and so we got a little bronze plaque here with City of Hawaiian Gardens, and then we also had 2 certificates from this is Christine Garcia. Christine Garcia. This is the California State Assembly, and then the State Senate, Ronald Calderon. So it was pretty nice, and I guess this is their second year, so they're really getting into now they're making goals to get a couple of $100,000 for our schools.
Can I ask you a question? Because you were there. I wasn't. I was here at the meeting you called. But
well, there was a lot of confusion.
I'm like teasing. No, what I wanted to ask you is, as I heard, as you said, they gave out a lot of donations, but I heard that only one school on our side of town got one of the grants, and I'm just wondering.
Fetty was the only one. I don't know whether Melbourne or
Correct,
Hawaiian or
that's what I was wondering. Did they not apply,
in.
or did they not qualify?
Yeah,
That's a good question
I don't know
to ask.
we don't know whether they applied or not. But yeah, most of the schools that got these awards were on that side of town.
So I think that's something we need to look into.
Yes.
Ask a question.
Taking a lead on Mr. Gomez's Get Healthy project with Mrs. Obama, I've been participating in the city Zumba classes. So that's been quite interesting. So I'm enjoying it, and I encourage the residents to come to that class. It's a lot of fun.
Well, with that, we adjourn to the next regular city council meeting to be held on Tuesday, February the 11th, 2014 at 6 p.m. Now we
have one more. That's successor agency.
Now we will proceed to the City Hawaiian Gardens Successor Agency RDA meeting, regular meeting. And the agenda organization, this is the time for the agenda board to discuss any changes in the order of the agenda items. Seeing none, then we'll go to item B, consent calendar. Items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered separately. Do we have any items?
If no one wants to pull any items, I'll make a motion to approve in its entirety.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And then we go to presentation of minutes. No, that's part of the agency actions. Discussion items. None. New business? None. Closed session? None. Oral agency reports? None. So we adjourn to the next regular successor agency RDA meeting to be held Tuesday, February the 11th, 2014 at 6 p.m.